Hey, good morning. Good morning. It's Fort Worth Playboy. Good morning to this is a Fort Worth Playboy morning show, and it is May, May 13th, 2024. I hope I'm getting this right. This is our second show of the morning. The first was the question of the day, which was kind of a warm up, and it's our very first day doing two shows. So we're going to have to see how this works out. And what is the Fort Worth Playboy morning show? What we discover and cover here is we cover game, pickup, relationships, and sex. And we fall under the guise of the red pill, the umbrella of the red pill being all things like MGTOW and men's rights activists and men's rights movement, any intersexual dynamics, be it political, social, economic. But what we, and when I say we, I mean myself and my Playboy's Bunny, we try to stay within our lane, which is game, pickup, relationships, and sex. Tactical, applicable things that you can use today to make yourself more attractive, and also to help you move girls from complete strangers to in your bed and naked and enthusiastically naked, all the way to like Bunny's really good about reigniting relationships and sex in relationships that have been established for 20 or 30-year marriages, which is a specialty of its own and hard as hell to do, but she's very good at it. And I tend to stay closer to the game, the initiation, creating attraction and moving a girl from a complete stranger to in your bed and naked in those first few months where you're laying down a foundation. So that's the real deal. And we go through the timeline. We always start off with a maxim from Chateau Artiste, whom I had always, from the very beginning, when I first saw Chateau's stuff, I was like, oh, I'm going to have to follow this. I'm going to have to save it because it's going to go away someday. And sure enough, they wiped it from the internet. And now I have hard copies. So what is the maxim number 7? The sweeter and more innocent a girl seems, the greater the likelihood she has been in a gangbang. The corollary is always assume she is a whore. It helps kick the legs out from under the pedestal you will be tempted to put her on. And it is more often than not true. Chateau Artiste. So the real deal is girls all have a history. And the more innocent she appears, the more likely she has a deeper and longer history. And you should assume this. Again, assume she is a slut. You will seldom be disappointed. That does two things. One, it doesn't set you, because guys' default is to put girls to think that what the girl's telling you is the truth. She's been celibate for 2 years and she's only been with 3 men in her lifetime. These are the two biggest deceptions that a girl will use, and they all tend to. It's the same as a cop being told, "How many drinks have you had tonight, sir?" "Oh, I've had 2." And it doesn't matter. It could be 20, it could be 200, but it's very rarely, if ever, has it been 2. That's the pat answer. And you get the same thing with girls. How many guys have you been with? 3. I've been with my high school boyfriend, my college boyfriend, and my first husband, or the first husband can be substituted by a long-term relationship. And that's what you'll generally see is 3. That's the real deal. And I think somebody has a caveat of like after 25 or after 27, girls default to 7 men. They try to, make it a little bit more palpable, the lie that they're going to tell you. But it doesn't matter. What you have to know is that that's the answer they're going to give you. But you should assume she's been run through. And then if you find out she wasn't, that is a welcome surprise. And if you find out she was run through, you're not disappointed. You know already, because that's your default. You assume she's a slut. And that way you're not caught off guard. You can approach this in a measured and appropriate and calibrated manner. Always assume she is a whore. It helps kick the legs out. This is the second benefit. It helps kick the legs out from under the pedestal that you'll be tempted to put her on. And guys, generally across the board, and no matter what you do, and even seasoned players, it happens all the time. You will have this one girl, which tells you you're already in trouble. There's this one girl. And then you think she's better than all the others. You put her up on a pedestal, and where is she? She's, like Rollo would say, now she has no choice but to look down on you. And that's not a good position for her or you. So therefore, I always tell guys, kick that pedestal out from under her, climb up there yourself. That way you're in the proper positioning. Girls want a man that she can be reaching for, a man that slightly is above her, and that she can chase. That's where girls are happiest, is when they're chasing a high value man. Again, generally they will not chase until you fucked them a few times. And this is where guys always get all kinds of confused, is before you start fucking her regularly 3-4 times, you're going to have to make almost everything happen. In a sense, you're going to have to make it happen. You know, to girls, sex just happens. They can never initiate it or be responsible for it. But after that, you will notice the momentum tends to change. Girls start chasing you. And that's where you hear like girls chase, and you want girls chasing you. But generally, it's all the way up until sex happens that you have to be leading and you have to be making things happen. And after that, girls will tend to reach out to you more often, give you reasons to see them, give you more options, give you, you know, they will start picking up the pace, and you can pull back and they can start chasing, which is where they are happiest, is when they're chasing a high value man. But none of this can happen if you assume she's innocent and an angel and you put her up on a pedestal, because she's going to sense that you are definitely a guy that doesn't just get it. And you have to remember, and I know this is another way of reinforcing this maxim, but she fucked her coach in high school. She was in a threesome on spring break. She fucked her best friend's dad. She knows all of these things in the back of her head. And then when you treat her extremely well and better than anything else, and like she's untouchable and could never make a mistake, she thinks you're a dumbass, because she wonders what else could you possibly be wrong about. So when you treat these girls that have got all these mistakes and all these bad decisions behind them, and you treat her like she's infallible, she wonders what other bad decisions could you possibly be making. So they don't trust you. So you have to keep that in mind. But if you assume that she is a slut, you'll seldom be disappointed. There will always be something that will float up, and you can just go, well, yeah, well, of course you did. Why wouldn't you? This is what girls do. So let that help guide you. Everyone benefits. Every time you kind of see this maxim, it kind of throws guys off. It's a very basic. It's only number 7 out of 200. But it gives you a foundation to work off of. That way you can work off of it, looking at her with eyes that you can actually, you know, make good judgment of who's in front of you. So that's a real deal with maxim number 7. Let's see what else. Oh, if you guys have any questions, go to YouTube. You can put it in the comment box, and I will do my very best to address it during the live broadcast. And if not, we'll get into like one of the questions of the day, which is going to be a new thing that we're going to try to do on a daily basis. What you have here, if you can see the video, and there's no reason for me to play the sound, you see a girl swiping. She's just working her way through. There you go. 1, 2, 3 on the right, then the rest, which is this is pretty much, girls only swipe like 1 out of 10 times, only maybe 10%. They're so picky, which is, you know, this way they're, you know, men are not as attractive to them. Guys just hit right. So what does this tell you? you have to realize what you want to gather from this video is she went through 5,000 men on her dating app and she chose you to meet up with. There's a damn good chance she'll fuck you if you don't talk her out of it. That's what you have to realize, is that when a girl comes out to meet up with you, when she has agreed, you've gotten her in front of you, she spent 4 hours getting ready. She may have bought new shoes. She may have bought a new dress. She took off work early. She went home and took a shower, shaved every square inch of her body. She drove to where you're at. She paid for parking. She walked to the venue. She's there now. She's done all this. She's gone through 5,000 guys. She's probably got 4,000 matches in her phone. She's got all these guys on Instagram. She's got all these offers to meet up. And then she just spent 2 days and 4 hours focused in on getting ready to come meet you. There's a damn good chance she'll fuck you that first night. If you don't fuck it up, if you don't talk her out of it. These are the keys. Again, guys don't realize, and I don't want to hear any of the, well, you know, girls just go out for free dinners or an attention. Dude, you're watching too much TikTok, because she just spent 4 hours and 2 days and working through all these other guys to get in front of you. And you're not offering dinner anyways. You always meet up for 1 or 2 drinks, just something casual, and then you can play it by ear from there. There's no free dinners with Playboys or with guys that know what they're doing. So that's the real deal. She will, if you follow like my how to build a dating system, follow the plan and move her from stranger to in your bed. You can do that in a systematized, controlled manner that works. But you have to realize she wants you to win. This girl has gone through 5,000 guys. She chose you to meet up with, prepped, did all this time, put all this time and money into it. And then she sits down with you. She doesn't want to talk about fucking Bitcoin. She wants you to entertain her, be entertained, to be entertaining, to have fun, to flirt, and for you to take her home and fuck her and she can limp home. That's the real deal, because that's what it's all about. Again, you have to realize, whoops, I gotta keep my shit together. You have to realize how many guys she's rejected to get in front of you. And that's the real deal. Don't talk her out of fucking you on that first date. And that's what always happens. Guys I'd always ask girls, I go, what was your worst date? And it was inevitably one of two things. He showed up drunk, or he did nothing but talk about himself. And a girl's the most interesting thing to her in the world is her own voice and her own experiences. So you need to get her talking about herself. And that's the real deal. And there's a whole different thing that I have on, like, you know, carrying the conversation and topics to talk about, and basically openers, things that you can put in front of her to get her to start talking. And those are all in my How to Build a Dating System book. But that's the real deal. You need to walk into a date. You need to walk into the venue knowing that there's a damn good chance this girl is going to fuck you that night if you don't fuck it up. So don't talk her out of it. She wants you to win. She wants this to be, like Bunny says, she wants this to be her last first date ever. And if you can deliver that, she will be grateful. And everybody wins in this scenario. So that's the real deal. Let's see what questions we have today. Fort Worth Playboy. I don't have to really pull this one up. I'm going to read this one out. I need your input. On 2 occasions, married women with their children and a husband nearby would make long eye contact with me. I looked away first. What does it mean? Women, even if they're married, they may have some interest, but it's not anything that you can act on. So you just, make eye contact and break away and move on with your life. They're just kind of like eye fucking you or eyeballing, seeing what's out there. But it's not anything that you can act on, nor should you, or have any interest in. Just go on about your day. How to deal with family acquaintances you for not being in a relationship? That's a good question. So when when people go, hey, why are you still single? I always just say, I guess I'm just lucky. And that's how you should just put it. Just, you could give them vanilla and neutral answers. Just go, when the right girl comes along, I'm sure I'll settle down. Always give them a little bit of hope. You always want to spin things. I mean, even if you are a committed womanizer and have no interest whatsoever in ever settling down for less than 3 girls a week, do you want to get, because people are not going to understand this. You need to give them hope. Hey, I'm just looking for a nice girl that I can bring home to mom. And I'm still looking. And maybe they'll put leads in front of you. You never know. But that's the real deal is family and acquaintances, they want what's best for you. So you need to throw them a bone that at least you're open to it and you're looking. I mean, you may see 3 or 4 women, but you're providing a service to the community in a certain sense by keeping all these single girls entertained. But you need, like, family and friends, they only know one thing, which is, boyfriend, engaged, wedding, house, babies, mortgage, debt, all of that stuff that comes in a package to keep you right where you're at. And instead of arguing, just always kind of, hey, I'm looking. I mean, I'm literally looking at like 7 different girls right now. So you're always actually open to suggestion. You just haven't found the right girl to settle down with. And you are open to sampling all of them if necessary. So that's what I would suggest. Family and friends, make light of it. Tell them, hey, if you have girls that you think would be interesting, let me see a picture of them. Just give them something to kind of hold on to, but pushing or resisting against it isn't ever, your mom wants you to be safe, and she wants grandchildren. That's what your mom wants, so you have to at least show her some hope. That's because they don't want you to just be running around acting crazy the rest of your life. Even though as a player, you're doing a service to the community and to the single girls that are out there, providing a service and entertainment to a certain extent and exciting and somebody to chase around. But your parents and family don't really understand that. They want you to continue the lineage, and you will someday. It won't be today and it won't be tomorrow, but someday when you meet the right girl or the right 2 girls. So that's a real deal. Play it off. Know that they want the best for you, but they don't really understand how this works. And, most of them, if you ask them if they're really happy, they usually aren't. Very, very rarely, but, they want the best for you. So that's the real deal, my man. And it's a good question. I appreciate you asking me, Chris. Let's see what else we have on the timeline. If a girl isn't fucking up a good thing, her friends will encourage her to try harder. You have to understand that friends are either neutral or working against you. Very rarely will they tell her, hey, don't fuck up a good thing. Because if they're single, they want her to be single and miserable with them. If they're married, they kind of keep hands off. That's the one thing you have to kind of like learn is once girls get older and start getting into the married thing, marriages, because girls are it's temporary. They understand that like their friends that are girlfriends, that are moms or married girlfriends, it's very temporary because they're just kind of going through this part of their life together. And then at some point they'll break away. Girls come and, just like they leave their family and become your family. Whereas guys, we kind of like move through the world and everybody attaches themselves to us or then breaks away. Girls are always in transition, going from one part of their life to the next. So the thing that you have to remember, and I put another tweet in here, is you have to be on your guard of her friends. And I would always kind of set it up, especially if you're younger, to kind of be disparaging of them. Susie, she's kind of a slut. She did fuck those 3 guys that weekend. Always kind of like put a little doubt in her mind that her friends don't make the best decisions. And you only have to be around them for like 10 minutes and you'll very quickly realize her friends, that's what I said. This is why her friends need to be undermined and subtly disparaged. Cindy said, what? She's kind of a slut, Maddie is too fat to keep a guy. Janet couldn't keep a man to save her life. And Skylar fucked 3 of my friends at a party. You need to know that her friends all voted on a decision to dump you. So you need to always put in her mind a doubt of the veracity or the good judgment of her friends, because they will work against you. If she dates a bunch of single sluts, they are not going to be happy with her being happy in a relationship with you. They will want her to be single and slutting it up with them. And that's not where she's going to go. She's going to go with you. So you need to be aware of that. Her friends are not working for you ever. If anything, they're neutral or working against you. So just keep that in mind. Quite often, and you'll see this, like if a girl goes out and does like girls' night out, or she's hanging around a certain girl 2 or 3 times a week, but you notice like when she comes home, she's combative or disagreeable or just kind of short with you. Well, you need to put an end to that relationship. You either throw a wrench in and go, hey, you got to get rid of your friend. Or you can do it in a subtle manner of just making sure she never has the time or the opportunity to go out with that friend anymore. But you have to look for cause and effect. If you start seeing her acting weird after she comes home from going out with a friend, the friend's kind of poisoning the well. So you need to be aware of these things. Again, if a girl isn't fucking up a good thing, which is you, her friends will encourage her to try harder. This happens way more than most men realize, and far more often and well into adulthood. You think of this thing as one of those things like it's a high school or a college issue. It's just as prevalent with adults as anything. I mean, you see girls that are doing just fine. They divorce, they get a good guy, and her single friends who can't find a man to save their lives will start working against that relationship. Because she's going to talk about it, but they can spin anything negative, and it's just not going to work out. So you got to remember, it's you against 4 or 5 of her slut friends, and you need to cut that off to a certain extent. Always be aware they're working against you, and it's very rarely will they be in your favor. If anything, they're neutral or working against you. Basic training, texting. Got about 6 minutes here. Basic training, alpha text game in 6 easy steps. Number 1, text like you talk. Don't write like you're in an English class trying to impress the teacher. Always just like you talk. Very short, brief. Okay. 2, no punctuation. Stop capitalizing 2. Turn off the capitalization. This fucks up all kinds of guys. Just do it. These are things that if you put them into play today, you'll see an immediate change in how girls react to you texting. No punctuation. Man, it messes guys. Just test it. I can't be late. And my mother always taught me to use a period. Just let it go just for a little while. It conveys a don't give a fuck attitude. It gives her less. Women, studies have proved this. Women are more attracted to men that they're not sure of his feelings for her. And when you do not use punctuation or emojis, it leaves the message a little bit more flat. so they can read more into it. Does that make sense? You're trying to take your information and just flatten it. That way she has to think, what does he mean by this? What is this? And the emojis, that's another thing. So text like you talk, get rid of punctuation, no capitalization. If you ever see like a CEO's email, you'll see that the man is probably nearly fucking illiterate. And sometimes they just put the entire email in the subject line. It'll be like, meeting MTG at 3 p.m. MTG at sign 3. That's it. That's your message. So just keep that in mind. Guys at the top don't write long paragraphs with perfect punctuation. No emojis. Emoji stands for emotion. You don't need to convey any of that. Just leave it as flat as possible. And it's very, very effeminate. Emojis are feminine. Only women use them. Don't use them at all. Only when you see some of these guys at a higher level using them, they're using them strategically. You're not there yet. This is all basic training. Never give a straight answer. Make them guess, then fuck with them. Never, ever, ever give a straight answer. What are you looking for? Well, I'm just looking for a nice girl I can settle down with, but instead I get all these girls sending me nudes. That's the kind of, just always be fucking with them. Never give a straight answer and keep them guessing. 5, text gives you time to formulate a short, asshole-like response. So use it. Then with practice, you'll get faster and you can reuse lines. Remember that. With texting, especially if you're bringing them off of apps or out of Instagram or any of the social media, you can use the same opener forever. You can use the first 4 or 5 questions to get them talking forever. Find out what works for you. Write it down if you have to. That way you can go back to it and improve it. Again, just like comedians use a set. They have a script of their entire joke, lines, questions, everything, the whole thing. It's a set. You can do the same thing with initial conversations with girls. And that way, and girls will become just like an audience, very predictable. Stupid, dismissive words, lines can be used over and over and over. Gay. It's complicated. Roger that. 10-4. They are good for any time you're stuck. We call them like alpha dismissive lines. And they work, like, hey, I can't make it at 4:00 tomorrow on Wednesday. Gay. It makes them wonder what the fuck does he mean by this? And they'll jump in. That's like one of our best examples. The girl says, hey, I don't think, we should be dating anymore. And he's like, 10-4. And she's like, well, what does that mean? And then she starts rolling, so just remember that dismissive works. Basic alpha. You put 2 or 3 of these things into play today, and you'll see a difference in how girls respond to your texting. 1, text like you talk. And we learned that like in copywriting right away. No punctuation. Get rid of it. It doesn't matter. Don't use it. Never use an emoji again if you can save your life. Never give a straight answer. Tease, fuck with them, have fun. Entertain yourself. Self-amusement is an alpha trait. Have fun yourself. If she has fun, great. If not, that's okay too. Text gives you time to formulate short asshole responses. Slow down. You have time. You're a busy guy. You're not sitting around on the phone texting all day. So short, pithy responses and get off the phone. Stupid, dismissive words, lines can be used over and over. Gay, it's complicated. Roger, any of these work. And once you start using them, man, text game gets way easier. So that's the real deal. And unfortunately, and if you're interested in this, basic training 1 and 2, Fort Worth Playboy at Gumroad / basic training 1 and 2. I'll leave a link below. Has all of this in it. Has how to deal with our friends, basic texting, how to get started and lay down a good foundation all the way. I'd say it's kind of will take you all the way to intermediate advanced. But by then, when you're intermediate advanced, you can kind of like call an audible like a quarterback. I mean, you've got enough experience in time on the field to kind of like read it, and you can make minor adjustments and kind of like break your rules every once in a while. But in the beginning, you need rules and formulas to follow to make your life easier, and it frees up your brain to be more creative. So that's a real deal. Because you go, God, what the fuck how am I going to have like a short, straight, funny answer? Well, when you use the rules, you'll have the mind, you won't be trying to figure out something unique to say to her all the time. You already have your questions because you use the same 4 or 5 questions with every girl, but it'll give you a chance to be more creative and more interesting. And again, don't text them to death. Texting, especially before you start fucking them, is simply to get them in front of you. Anything interesting starts coming, hey, I think that's very interesting, but I would love to talk about that when we meet on Thursday. So remember, you need to be in front of them if you want to make things happen. If you guys like it, share it, buy something. The books are in there. If you're not sure, whatever your challenges are, I can make a suggestion. And the third thing is, of course, if you really feel stuck or need guidance, you can opt in for a consultation. There's another consultation request form at fortworthplayboy.com. And we hope you guys have a great day. See you tomorrow back here at 7 a.m. Have a great day.